you are ready to stop reliving your old wounds. One of the hardest parts of healing is learning to stop touching the wound. And what that means is, think about when you, if you cut yourself or scrape yourself, if you keep touching the wound, if you keep picking at it or, messing with it in some way, it takes longer for that wound to heal. And it's the same thing with mental and emotional struggles. The more we keep repeating the same thoughts and feelings and beliefs and stories around that wound, the longer that wound will take to heal. So we have to stop touching the wound, meaning we have to stop repeating that pattern. Stop reliving it. Stop allowing it to live rent-free in our head. Stop repeating the same story. Anytime you've experienced something traumatic, it tends to play on a loop in your head if you don't do something to help yourself. So how do you stop that loop from continuing without pushing it away? Because we never want to push away or reject anything that we're experiencing, because that also creates resistance. So what do we do in this situation when there are so many things to consider as we're going through the healing process? So the first thing we need to do, as always, is acknowledge that we have the wound. We have to acknowledge that something traumatic happened and that it created a wound or a pattern in us that's still bothering us and still repeating. So we have to make sure we tell the truth and we fully acknowledge that that's what's happening. The second thing we have to do is we have to be super patient and compassionate with ourselves about what we experienced. And all that means is that when a memory comes up, instead of beating ourselves up for what happened or asking why it happened to us or fighting the memory in some way, we allow it to be there. And that's exactly what I'm saying, is exactly what it means. You just you notice that you're having that thought or that memory and you let it be there. You don't do anything to talk about it. You don't do anything to talk to it. You just let it be there for a second. Compassionately, meaning you don't offer any resistance to it whatsoever. So if something traumatic happened to me and the memory came up, I would just say to myself, there's that old memory again. There's that memory that bothers me so much. It's coming up again. And again, just sitting there and breathing and letting myself feel whatever I'm feeling as the thought is there, but not buying into the story that I might still have in my head. This was unfair, this shouldn't have happened to me, blah, 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 blah. Just watching that happen without participating in it. Noticing that those thoughts and feelings are going through me again. That's what it means to be a compassionate witness to what's happening. So again, you just sit and you allow those things to move through you. You can even say to yourself, I can see that all of this is still here and it's still causing me some level of pain. And the last thing that you do is you reassure yourself, again, without putting yourself in the position of victim. You say to yourself, yes, that happened. Yes, that was awful. And I am ready to let it go. I am ready to let that be a part of my history instead of my present life. I am ready to let that release from my system so that I don't have to punish myself with that memory anymore. Because that's really what you're doing. When you keep allowing yourself to rip off the scab, reopen the wound every time, when you still tell yourself that that story's still happening and that you need to keep that story going, that's really what causes you pain. And it doubles the pain because you're not being compassionate with yourself. You're still dragging around that baggage, knowing that it's hurting you. This takes practice. It's an ongoing practice. And it's something that you have to do every day. Catching the thought come up and being a compassionate witness to the thoughts and feelings that are coming up. And then allowing yourself to say, this is where it ends. I deserve to be free. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.